This is the Mohsin Mortgage Program with Sarah Mohsin. Mohsin Mortgage is licensed in several states for residential and commercial purchases and refinancing. Call 800-662-9550. And now, here's your host, Sarah Mohsin.
Great to be back here again, folks, and it is the weekend edition. Pittsburgh, really, really grateful to have Brian Cook here and Jim Frazier. And I know you both are very busy, so I don't really have to share very much. I know most of the folks here in Pittsburgh and worldwide know you both, so can you share a little bit?
Well, I tell you what, Sarah, other than my mom, you're the greatest person on this earth, in my opinion. I appreciate the opportunity to come, and I tell you what, I've been knowing Brian Cook, who is one of the most talented guys on the planet. I've been knowing him since he graduated from college. So, Brian, thanks for coming.
Hey, my pleasure. Jim, it's always a pleasure being with you, Sarah. Thank you so much for having us on. The sentiments are the same for you, Jim. I've known you for a long time. We did high school football on the air and radio.
Yeah.
Worked in radio for 14 and a half years, and I've known Jim my entire career. So he's a great person to be around, great person to learn from, and one of the most intelligent minds when it comes to research and knowledge. So those feelings are reciprocated to you, my friend.
Same here. I think Jim's amazing, and truly I have a great deal of respect and admiration. We're talking about moral compass, which is important. So he's, his values and belief systems are, I'm sure with all of us here together, we're following the same path. So both with faith and family, and, just grateful because you're busy covering a lot of interesting things, Brian. So can you talk a little bit about what you do?
Yes. So I first started wanting to be in this career, in this business, if you will, at the age of 10, watching Ed Bradley on 60 Minutes. We would be running around all the time, little kids, we're little boys, we're running, throwing rocks and building bike ramps and climbing trees and possibly even, whatever we were doing back then. But it was mandatory, not from my parents, but for me to go inside and watch this tremendous man on television. The way he could flip a phrase was like no other. And then he was the catalyst for me starting my career. So, I've been able to cover up 7 Super Bowls, cover stories in Paris, France, and in Cuba, and try to tell stories that people aren't telling on a regular basis. But one of the things that I really love covering on a regular basis now is the NFL, and trying to think outside the box on some of those stories, outside of the game. What are the players doing? What are the coaches? They're doing community work. They're doing great things. Same thing when we were in Paris. A group of journalists went over there. We talked about, the experience from an African perspective. People who migrated from Africa to Paris, and then same thing with Cuba. Some stories, again, that aren't being told. So I pride myself on being able to do that. And it's crazy because I don't like to talk about myself. We as journalists, we don't talk about ourselves that much. Right. But, I just love doing that. So I appreciate that question.
Well, it is. It's important. It's the traveling and meeting people. I think that, that's the memories are far more important than just collecting things. So
right.
I think it's one of the key parts of living life to its fullest when you are able to experience what the world has out there, because there's so much to see, and it's just a lot more fun when you're out there and experiencing those things versus, sometimes we get fixated and, we stay in one state, and there's nothing wrong with that. This is the greatest country in the world, yes. I would say. I traveled a lot as well. My parents were diplomats, so we were very blessed that way. So I just think that, being able to see also with the work that you do when as a photographer and you have a media company, you're highly successful and humble, which is really important, just like Jim. Those are key components of people who are successful. They're humble and they're kind, and they speak softly, and they carry a big stick. They don't really have to announce themselves. So I do admire that, Brian, and it's it's important that you get a chance to also share a little bit more, because you were involved in many things, right?
Yes.
Important things.
Yes, I mean, like you said, I mean, part of the true essence of success is to be humble. Because many times people see the success as the story. The success is never, ever the story. It's the journey it takes to get there. Okay. And, I always think about, so many people that I've met over the years, and, so many people who have been, at the top of government, people who, I've interviewed 4 U.S. presidents, and just to be able to see, how these people are just so charismatic. They have to be charismatic to be able to light up the room to be on that level, of course, right? But the level of humility that many of these people have is through the roof, because you have to, love what you do what you love, but at the same time, don't take yourself too seriously and don't think too highly of yourself. Just enjoy it. Humility is the key.
Certainly. Is there a way to? Do you have a website? Do you have a? Feel free to share.
Sure. My website is the name of my company is called Golden Sky Media. The website is goldenskymedia.com, and I'm on Instagram as well. It's at Golden Sky Media, no spaces. I love to tell stories through photos, through videos, and just I want to know about the people. I want to know. That's why I like to do feature stories. I don't like to do the hard news pieces. I love to find out who you are, where you come from, and where do you plan to go. So Golden Sky Media is the name of the company.
Wonderful. I think it's wonderful, Jim, that you both have been friends for such a very long time. That's usually the pattern with Jim. His friendships and relationships last. They're long term.
Very true.
With a lot of laughter, I think, which is important, right, Jim? Jim's all quiet. Why are you smiling quietly in the corner?
Well, I almost left the country 2 years ago. They invited us 49 people to go to Cuba to cover a boxing match. And out of the 49 people, 48 went. I was the only one that didn't go. But I tell you what, Brian also does a lot of stuff with kids through his
Pittsburgh Black Media Federation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the Pittsburgh Black Media Federation is an advocacy group that we pride ourselves on making sure that we fight for diversity in newsrooms and fairness of all communities, especially communities of color. So we want to make sure that we show young people who are aspiring journalists the true essence of what it takes to write a story, to be able to flip a phrase, like we were talking about Ed Bradley, to be able to, frame up your shots with photography and videography, and to be able to package everything together, because our industry is changing exponentially, and we need to be able to train these young people, for this changing industry, if you will.
Sure, it is. And I say shrinking planet. Everything has come, into and really diverse. Diversity exists in a way that even when it comes to, it's funny because I was lucky because it just so happened my dad was a diplomat, so we travel a lot. But racism exists everywhere. I lived in Nigeria. I was the only kid that was Asian that went to a public school there. There was racism there because I was different looking. So different looking can be. Went to London was a problem because there was an influx of Indians and Pakistanis coming, dealt with that issue. So the diversity and learning aspect of it is very important. And that's why, traveling is important, embracing people from different cultures, understanding and being mindful of why there are certain situations that are occurring. It could be because, they haven't experienced that diversity, So education is very important. And I'm thrilled that you're involved with kids, because kids really, if they're provided the tools, if they're provided that information, they can bring about that hope, as you saw with Shantien, who came in, with Sean. That's what we need. We need hope and diversity and a lot more love, right, Jim Frazier?
Yes.
Very true. And, and it's funny you say that because, yes, education is definitely the key there. And the 6 degrees of separation that we've known for, most of our lives has turned into 1 degree of separation, especially because the internet exists and it's so vast. And, you can, have a full conversation with someone in Nigeria or in Pakistan or anywhere where the the internet exists, and you feel like you're right there. And then once you have that education, your mind starts to broaden, and then you become amenable to just learning about and loving other cultures. It's great.
So
a lot of these big words are going over my head, but Brian and I are working on a project with WQED, where most people don't know Mr. Rogers and Arnold Palmer graduated from the same high school together. And, only thing I know is combat sports. So if somebody's not getting knocked out, I don't know anything about it. But we're going to do a piece with WQED on USS Cunningham, a professional fighter that owns his own academy. And he came to this area because his daughter needed a heart transplant. And only Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh, out of all the places in the world, could do it. So, and he fell in love with this city here. So I'm looking forward to working with Brian on that piece. And WQED, who most kids grew up watching.
Absolutely.
I didn't, but most kids grew up watching
and multi-Emmy award-winning station.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
is that right?
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's wonderful. I'm excited to, hear that. I'm glad you were able to share that. And, you both are just class acts, low-key class act, wonderful, gentlemen that are able to share and change the landscape of the country. That's what's really important to making, bringing on an impact. And kids are important, We've done a lot of stories, in the past, all relatable to kids, because if we can actually give our kids that opportunity and give them that hope or that ability to move forward and have choices, then everything changes. Right, Brian?
Absolutely. The earlier you teach a kid to, to love one another, to not be afraid to go on stage and be able to speak extemporaneously, to be able to go out and, shake hands, look someone in the eye, to be able to learn about those cultures, to be able to, be successful, right? That story, right? I think that the better off these kids will be. The earlier they learn, the better. And I think, we're getting to the point where more and more kids are starting to learn at an earlier age. Again, because, the internet exists, and then, learning so much outside of the classroom, that I think that, many kids will be able to, I think we'll be in good shape over the next 20, 30 years. I think the next generation is going to take care of us pretty well.
Yeah, I like that. I like your optimism. That's very important. Same with
all
Jim.
them big words. I don't know what they mean.
Optimism. Oops.
Yes, internet. Oh, I love it. But yeah, I think we'll be in good shape. Yeah. At least I'm hoping.
A hope is all we need,
Right.
Hope and heavy hitters like you two. That's all we need. That's all I can say. You know what heavy hitters means, right?
Yeah, I do know that.
So,
that's Mike Tyson.
Right, there you go.
So this project, when will it come into fruition? When do you think it'll be completed with WQED that you both are working on?
We're actually about to start working on it in January, early January 2019, and it's we're projecting, because these are pretty short documentaries for a program called Pittsburgh 360, and they do a lot of quick, short pieces to highlight people making a difference in the city. So we're planning on it. It's going to be quick turnaround, very quick. So sometime in February. So for Black History Month, to highlight everything that USS Cunningham is doing. So we're excited about that, and then many more projects to come.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Very exciting. Right, Jim?
Yes.
So we have about a minute and a half. Can you mention your website again and any other contact information, Brian?
Yes. The name of my company, again, is Golden Sky Media. The website is goldenskymedia.com. And on Instagram, it's at Golden Sky Media. And I use that hashtag as well. And the reason for that, the name, is because my mom, always supported me in everything that I did. I don't care if I was playing tiddlywinks in the alleyway. She was always there supporting me. And when she passed away, I named the company after her, because that's my mom looking down on me from heaven.
Very good. We love our moms. We do.
Oh, my goodness. Absolutely.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you both are here.
Yes.
Jim, do you have any last words you wanted to share?
Can I say something?
No.
Okay. I just want to say one thing.
Yeah.
I love you, Sarah.
I love you back. You and I do once a month Pittsburgh TV together. I love it. It really is. We have a great deal of fun, but we also have great guests, and so lots of love here in the studio. And Brian Cook, thank you for coming.
Yes.
Really, it was an honor and privilege, and certainly Jim, likewise here with us. We are really grateful to have you as a friend, a good friend and someone who has been so humble and kind, and rarely do you see people who are that successful who don't, He's always smiling. I don't know what you're smiling about, but you are, which is a good thing. But anyways, folks, with that, you can always reach us. You have questions, 412-221-1569. Stay well, folks.
This has been the Mohsin Mortgage Program with Sarah Mohsin. Mohsin Mortgage is licensed in several states for residential and commercial purchases and refinancing. Call 800-662-9550.